Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. I do hope you're well. Now then, today I have three handy little tricks you can use to enhance a typical minor key blues guitar solo. We're going to be in the key of G minor for this lesson, so before we go any further, let's take a little bit of a look at the chord sequence that all of this is going to be based around. Now maybe there are one or two chords, especially in that bottom line of the chord sequence, that look a little bit scary. But A, you're not going to be playing the chords here, they're already there in the backing track. And B, they're not that scary anyway. So for the purposes of full disclosure, I'm just going to quickly show you what those chords are. Let's take a look at the E flat 9, you'll see it appear on the screen right about now. That's how it sounds, and maybe you can't see the full detail of what my fingers are doing. That's what the chord shape's for, but you should certainly be able to see that I'm not doing some ridiculous kind of big fret spanning, stretchy, contortionist kind of thing. So that's the E flat 9. The D7 sharp 9 is probably a chord that you might already know, because you know, if you've ever played a Hendrix song, you've probably played a 7 sharp 9 chord. Sounds like this. And there's the chord shape for it in the corner of the screen. The other one is the D7 flat 9, which once again, look at that shape, it's nothing scary. Scary sounding chord though. Okay, but you can hear how that little sequence, the E flat 9 and the D7 sharp 9 to flat 9, lands us quite nicely on the G minor. So that's the scary chords taken care of. Now then, back to the lead playing. You could play over this chord sequence quite easily and quite effectively just using the good old minor pentatonic and all the other shapes of it. But let's suppose you wanted to do something a little bit more tailored, a little bit more kind of perhaps melodic, focusing on the chord sequence. Well, one thing that you might want to do is playing to the 4 chord. Okay, so what do we mean by playing to the 4 chord? Well, a blues chord sequence, even a minor blues chord sequence, is largely based around the 1, 4 and 5 chords within a key. And if you're not sure what that means, basically it's, if you just kind of take this bar chord shape, I'm using a G major here, but we'll kind of convert it to minor in a moment. Basically this is how to look at your 1, 4, 5 relationship on the neck of the guitar. Go from that shape, that's your 1 chord, same fret, that shape is your 4 chord, and move it up 2 frets and that's your 5 chord. Turn those into minors, we have G minor, C minor and D minor. Now in this chord sequence here, the D is actually played as a 7th, but you get the idea. So when the chord sequence goes from the 1 chord, the G minor, or G minor 7 as it is in this particular backing track, when it goes from that up to the C minor 7th, that is your 4 chord. And if we look at that little move there, you can see that when we go to the 4 chord, if you just try playing it on the guitar now yourself, we introduce this note here, which is in the C minor 7 chord. Okay, in the key of G minor, this is an E flat note. And you can see, if you compare that to the minor pentatonic, that the minor pentatonic has this D note in it here, basically this 3rd fret note on the 2nd string, and that note that comes along with the C minor 7 is a fret higher than that, at the 4th fret. So what you need to do is just add that E flat note, that 4th fret 2nd string note into proceedings. And of course, once you can do it there, you can sort of extrapolate and add it in everywhere else around the neck anytime you land on that C minor chord. Here's the difference that that makes. You're going to hear the same lick played twice. Once without the E flat note, just staying on the D, the regular minor pentatonic note, and then immediately after that you'll hear the same lick but using the note which is present in the 4 chord, and you'll hear what a difference it makes. Okay, so straight away you can hear that that sounds just that little bit more melodic, more tailored, more like it's actually fitting into the chord sequence that is going along underneath. And that brings me to the second thing you can do to enhance a minor key blues solo. We're going to now play to the 5 chord. In this particular sequence, the 5 chord is the D7. Now, D7 would normally be just that, but in this instance here I decided to just throw a little bit of extra jazziness into proceedings by using D7 sharp 9 and flat 9, like that, as we discussed earlier. But the point is that you can just think of those as D7 chords, frankly. And a D7 chord, if we look here, has this F sharp note in it. F sharp can be found, well, this one that I'm playing here is at the 4th fret on the 4th string. But you'll also see it at the 7th fret rather, on the 2nd string in this version of D7. And just as I did before, I'm going to play the same lick, roughly the same lick anyway, twice. Once not using that note and once using that note. When I'm not using it, what I'm doing is I'm just using the regular F note, which is to be found in the G minor pentatonic. There it is at the 6th fret on the 2nd string, and when we come to the D7, the one where I'm actually using the F sharp note, I move that up a semitone to the F sharp, which is taken from the D7 chord. Here's what a difference that makes when you add it into the solo. Once again, hopefully you can hear that that has quite a melodic impact on what you're playing in your solo. And frankly, if you're only just moving one note by one semitone, or if you're doing the other one as well, moving 2 notes by one semitone each, then it's not a big thing to have to do. This final stage that we're going to look at is perhaps a little bit more involved though. But still, it's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery. We're going to be focusing on this E flat 9th chord. One thing you can do over this chord in this particular context is to get the melodic minor scale out of the box. Now, a lot of guitarists may kind of start getting a little bit worried about terms like melodic minor scale because, oh, that's jazz territory, isn't it? Well, possibly, but here's an example of the melodic minor scale being used, and, you know, I don't think you'd really call this jazz. You know, the Simpsons theme, obviously. So, it's nothing scary. Again, you saw me kind of doing that there, and, you know, I wasn't sort of spreading all over the neck and playing incredibly difficult shapes. So before we go any further, I think it's probably a good time to have a look at the shapes that I'm going to be using for the melodic minor scale. Okay, a little bit more background info. The scale that you saw me playing there was the B flat melodic minor scale, and we're going to be using it over the E flat 9 chord. When you do that, you are said to be using the Lydian dominant mode. There's a bit of jargon you can name drop anytime you're in the company of other guitarists. Anyway. Yeah, there were a couple of stretches that you saw in that, but when you actually come to see me using them in the solo, you'll probably notice that I don't bother kind of doing the big stretchy bits, and even those stretchy bits are no bigger stretch than doing that sort of status quo type thing anyway, which I think we're all reasonably well versed in. So let's have a look at what kind of effect this has on the solo. So you're going to hear me do exactly the same thing as I did in the previous two examples, adding the B flat melodic minor, which is the E flat Lydian dominant mode, into the solo at the relevant point over the E flat 9 chord. First of all, I'll just do the demonstration with the regular minor pentatonic to show you how that sounds, and then you'll hear the difference that it makes when I add the melodic minor into proceedings. So there you go. Now the keen-eyed amongst you may have noticed that because the E flat 9 is followed immediately by the D7 chord, that I also ended up using the F sharp in that little lick there. I couldn't stop myself. Anyway, it's about time, I think, that you heard the full effect of all of these tricks combined together. So what you've got now is, I think I did 3 choruses of the 12-bar minor blues chord sequence, where I use all 3 of these little tricks, adding the E flat note in various places around the neck whenever the chord sequence went to C minor, adding the F sharp note over the D7 chord, and using the melodic minor scale, there it is, every time we land on that E flat 9 chord. So here's the solo, and hopefully you'll gain something from it. So there you have it. Those are the three techniques that I often use to enhance a minor key blues solo. Now then, this chord sequence that we've been dealing with here is pretty standard fare, really. It's not a million miles away from something like The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King, and there's elements of it, especially that little kind of turnaround kind of thing like that, that you'll find in tracks like Still Got the Blues by Gary Moore. Even I think there's a Pink Floyd tune whose name escapes me at the moment that has that, so it's not exclusively a blues type of thing, unless you count Pink Floyd as a blues band. Yeah, that's what you can do over a minor key blues. I hope you found this informative, useful, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. If you like this video, then please hit the subscribe button, and that way you'll get to see more of them. I'll also take a moment now to just mention that I do Skype lessons if you would like some one-to-one tailored tuition, or if you want to come along in person for a lesson. If you live on Teesside in the northeast of England, then get in touch via the details at the end of this video. And whilst I'm here, I'm just going to kind of mention the fact that I have a couple of albums out at the moment which are available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify, all the usual places basically, and it's all good bluesy rock guitar stuff, so what's not to like there. I'll put the links to the albums in the description below, and with that I will wish you good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now, folks.